Hi, good evening everyone. Welcome to Wigan Fan TV. Slightly different show tonight. It's just myself for a little bit, and then I put some questions to Matt and Mark. As you can imagine, the answers from Mark are really good and intuitive and going to stats and really good opinion. And Matt's. Honestly, you want to stick around for Matt's answers. And for the location of his answers as well, without giving too much away. But today is a day that Wigan finally got 2 points on the board, successfully appealed the 2 point deduction. It's been suspended for 12 months, so if Wigan do go over the salary cap starting from today for the next 12 months, they will incur that 2 point penalty, as well, and I would assume further punishment for that. But hopefully that doesn't happen, but it probably means that any ideas of maybe signing any future players this season may be scrutinised a little bit further than perhaps they would have been. So some positive news to get sort of onto the Huddersfield game. I'm going to reflect a little bit on the London game. For anybody that wasn't at London on Sunday and you haven't seen the highlights, well done. You've saved yourself a little bit of humiliation, and it was a horrendous game. Every facet of the game was bad, in terms from the weather to the performance to the attitude. Everything about it was just wrong. And interested to see what Mark I know what Matt's already said, so I'm not going to go into too much, but it's interesting to hear what Mark says about that later on. But for me, the whole team just changed. We've gone from trying to rest players against Hull to then trying to give people a game against London, also rest people because of the injuries that potentially can happen on the 4G pitches. So we've not had a consistent team for 2 weeks. And if we go back to the Sydney game before that, that although it was against better opposition, that's the level, and that's not saying a lot really, is it, when we got beaten, but that's the level that we need to get back at. And I think looking at the side, the 19-man squad that's been picked this week, which I'll allude to in just a second, we're certainly looking like we're getting a bit more consistency in the way that Lam wants to play. Some exciting selections as well moving forward for that. But the London game, Samet starting at half-back, Lulawai and O'Loughlin on the bench was perhaps a strange one. Escaré on the wing. Escaré, the saviour, finally got a game, but unfortunately for Morgan Escaré, it was just in a position where, he used to play there for Catalans, but he's ineffective on the wing, and he was really unfortunate to drop that ball, and that was a changer, really, wasn't it? He drops the ball on the line. If he catches it, we score, we take the lead. He drops it, Kieran Dixon scores, and we never look like getting back into it from there, to be honest with you. We looked blunt in attack every single time we got close to the line. So, in the opinion of Matt and Mark, what is going wrong at this moment in time? Like I say, you'll probably get a bit of a better answer from Mark than you will from Matt. But over to Matt first. I think he's in his school.
Panic! Oh my God, we've been thrashed by St Helens. Leeds very nearly thrashed us. Thrashed by Sydney. Thrashed by Hull. Thrashed by London. We've had 2 points stolen off us by Ralph Rimmer. Everything is going wrong. The whole world is coming to an end. People have forgotten the lyrics to Tina Turner's song that I've even forgotten the title of. It's going mad. The whole world is going crazy. We are doomed. The sky is falling in, even when you're indoors. Oh no!
So we just lost to London, and one win out of four. By the time the show is up, we'll know if we're on 2 points or still on 0 points after the salary cap appeal. But really, that's irrelevant, isn't it? Sean wants to know where it's gone wrong, in my opinion, and I'm going to call into question leadership from the coaching staff. I mean, there's a question over Lam at the moment. Is he getting players prepared right for games? In the immediate, just before the games, is he sending them out with the right sort of message? Because we've had 4 terrible starts to games. London, that wasn't a problem. So maybe the other leadership aspect was the on-field leadership in this game. I mean, 2 of our leaders, 2 of our senior players, 2 of the leadership group, Lockers and Lulawai come off the bench, and that's when things started to go poorly for us. We started to drop the ball, we started to give away penalties, we started to invite London on, and just lacked composure. And I'm not saying those 2 players are the dominant factor in that, but you've got to point some fingers at their doors when we were ahead when they came onto the pitch, and it fell apart. Lockers wasn't good against London. Too many penalties, too many. A stupid mistake, like a soft mistake near the end when we had a good ball position. So that was frustrating. And then you talk about some other senior players, Tony Clubb's been poor for the for the start of the season. I know he took a bad knock against St Helens and then missed a game, but he was good against London. I'll give him that. But overall, are we getting enough out of him right now? And then you move into the halfbacks and Williams. I absolutely love George Williams. He's my favourite player. I wouldn't want him in another side. He entertains me, but then at the same time, his decision making still isn't coming on. And I count him as a senior player now. He's one of the highest paid players, well, the highest paid player in the squad, one of the highest paid players in the league. He backs that up sometimes spectacularly, like he did again in the game against Leeds. He was good against the Roosters as well, but he was pretty absent against London, taking the easy option almost all the time of just dishing it off to his second rower, and so that was a bit frustrating. And I want to see him take control a bit more. He's leaving taking the control to his half-back partner, but he doesn't know who his half-back partner is going to be, because neither Luluai or Samet is staking a claim for that in my eyes. I mean, the game was set up for Samet on Sunday, a game, a pitch he knows well, wet conditions, his kicking game should come to the fore, and it really didn't. He kept putting it in the air when the wind was unpredictable, and the one he put on the ground caused havoc, and I don't know why we didn't see more of that throughout the game. It was really challenging. Who was calling out the shots on these last tackle plays where we end up with Tony Clubb taking a carry up by himself? What an absolute farce that is. Things like that really are costing us, and it's that organisation and leadership. And that to me is stemming all the way through. I don't know the answer there, but it is frustrating. And then what the other thing I'd say is players aren't really taking their chances. Navarrete was given a chance to start the game against St Helens and bombed that chance, really. He's been okay. He started again against London, actually, and I think he did pretty well, but he really didn't take the chance to be a regular starting player as far as I'm concerned. And then, Samet comes in against Hull, doesn't really take that chance, and probably even less convincing against London. And Tautai, he should have been waiting for his chance. A senior player, a player who's played in finals, a player who should be able to deliver when he comes into the side. And he was frankly garbage and really let himself down. I have a lot of time for the bloke, but he let himself down with the way he performed against Hull FC. He was fine against London. He wasn't part of the problem, so fair enough there. And then other players haven't really taken it. I mean, Escaré, you go on all of the message boards, all of the forums, all of the comments on these videos, and it's Escaré. Why is Escaré not playing? Play him instead of Hardacre, play him here, play him there, play this person there so Escaré can play. Put him on the bench. Well, to be honest, he didn't try to get involved hardly at all in the game on Sunday. He bombed a certain try that was instrumental as losing the game. There was other mistakes from him as well, and I don't know. Someone come back and answer to me why, if you still want him in the side against any of those other players in that back line after that, because I was blown away with the amount of frustration that caused me, to be honest. But I don't know. There's still stuff to work out, so maybe Escaré could fix things up still. But that was not a way to come in and impress your coach when you're given your first opportunity of the season, in my eyes. So another one to notch down to the terrible lack of taking opportunities out there from these guys. Liam Paisley, I think, took his opportunity quite well, and Joe Bullock's taken his opportunity at Super League pretty well as well. So it's not all negative. And if we want to turn to...
So one of the key things that came from the London game, again, I've been listening to Adrian Lam's interviews quite intently, really, over the past few weeks since he started, just to try and see if he's giving any clues as to what they're trying to work on. And I think the biggest thing that came from this weekend was that he was quite happy with the forwards, and I think that was right. We were making good yardage, I thought. We were getting into positions, we were getting into 30, 20 metres away from the London line, but it's at that point where we just fell down. The two tries came from, three tries, didn't they? Came from Paisley, Isa and Clubb, all three forwards. The Paisley try and the Willie Isa try were pretty much straightforward, and the Tony Clubb one was a barge over, and I think that's a sign of a team that isn't quite there, isn't performing from an attacking point of view when you start to get these barge over tries. The tries where you're scoring from making breaks from 20, 30 metres out, that tends to be when the set players are working well, and at this moment in time we don't seem to have that, which is a worry, particularly. And Adrian Lam, this is unfortunate for him, but he mentioned in that press conference when he first signed, when he was sat alongside Sean Edwards, that there would be a new brand of rugby. It would be attacking focus, and we're not seeing that yet. We've gone back a few steps, haven't we, since the Leeds game and the St Helens game, even though we lost. So that is massively disappointing. But looking ahead to the Huddersfield game, obviously change of squad, change of team there. Jared Samet has dropped out of the team. Liam Paisley retains his place. Joe Greenwood is out with concussion. The 19-man squad just on your screen now. So it'll be interesting to see how we go with that team. Ben Flower and Gabe Hamlin obviously back, which will give a lot more power into that pack, and hopefully we'll have too much for Huddersfield. But I wanted to know from the guys, and I'm reading this question, so just so you know that this question was written down and was sent to Matt. What has to change over the next few weeks for Wigan to be seen as genuine playoff contenders? Now, all of these answers were done before we knew that we got the 2 points back. But again, first of all, this is Matt in an interesting location still.
The thing is, in many ways, as a rugby club, Wigan is a bit like a tea bag. You stick it in hot water and it just gets stronger and slightly more wrinkly.
How do we fix this up? How do we get this right? What can we do from here? I think it is those senior players again. You know, O'Loughlin can't give away 3 penalties in a game. It's just simple. He can't. You know, Clubb and Flower have to play consistent minutes. Flower's been good at that so far. Tony Clubb has not been good at that so far. They need to dominate the opposition pack in contact. In defence, because that's the platform then. That tires out the opposition forwards. That's the platform that you get Williams moving around. You get, he's got a bit more time to make the right decisions. And then you'll see something good out of Hardacre. You'll see more good out of, Gildart, and you'll hopefully see more tries out wide, because we're seeing a lot of barge over tries at the moment. I think that's...
We mentioned the Wigan wobble last week, and the reason why we're doing a show a little bit like this, I think too many people are suffering from the wobble. We couldn't get enough people on at the right time, and schedules and everything like that take part. And I'm actually in half an hour's time previewing the Warrington game a week ahead of where we are with a podcast that the Warrington fans do, which should be interesting. Hopefully we've got 4 points by the time we go to the Halliwell Jones Stadium, but. So one of the next question that I put to the guys was, do you still have faith in Adrian Lam? Now, this is something that the question I think first came up after the St Helens game. It then came up after the defeat against Sydney. It came predominantly against Hull. That's when we started to see the Wigan wobble in full force, didn't we, about Adrian Lam and perhaps the quality of his coaching. And now, obviously, another defeat, a shock defeat, it has to be said, against London, where we were outplayed. So the question to the guys was, do you still have faith in Adrian Lam? For me personally, for what it's worth, absolutely. This is a guy that's brand new to being a head coach, but his history of coaching, whether it be with Papua New Guinea, with the Australian assistant coaches, and he's been in good places, developed his skills, obviously, at Sydney Roosters as well. So the other question is, why would you change a coach after 4 rounds? I know we played 5 games, but we played 4 Super League rounds. We've got 2 points. We're only 6 points the most off the top of the table. It's a long old season, and I don't think it's even being considered by the Wigan hierarchy about Adrian Lam's future. I couldn't imagine that it would. People saying if we lose against Huddersfield, his job's under threat. I think he's obviously will be a lot more under threat after Friday if we did lose, but I still don't think we'll be getting rid of him, and rightly so in my opinion, because he's a class act. He's carried himself really well so far from being the Wigan coach. But let's see what Mark and Matt have got to say, and thank God there's some bubbles.
You've got to wash those worries right out of your hair.
That's where it's at. I would stick with, it's 4 games into the season. I'm not going to be throwing the panic button and saying, oh yeah, we're definitely going to get relegated unless we sack Lam and we bin off Williams and we do all this and do all that. That's utter garbage nonsense that people, reactionary stuff that we need to calm down about. We're still the champions, guys. We should still be happy with what we've got. We've still got some champion players as well, but I think how we get it right, it starts with O'Loughlin being a bit more of a steadying influence. It starts with Williams, showing a little bit more command more consistently, not just raising himself for the games where he might get noticed, but for all the games. And then hopefully more will come off the back of that, because there's still, there's a long way to go. Let's not overreact yet.
So moving ahead to the Huddersfield game, two teams in really bad form, of course. Huddersfield bottom of the table. We were down there with them, but they're on 0 points. We're on 2 points now. They're a side that had a massive revival, didn't they, last season, under the new coach, winning however many games. They came very close to really challenging in the Super 8s and just gave themselves a little bit too much to do by the end of the year. Again, another club that's going through a bit of change, in as much as losing somebody like Danny Brough in the off-season, somebody who's been their captain, who's been their playmaker for so many years, and all of their players pretty much haven't they always gone through Danny Brough, so that's something new that they're still getting used to, but they've still got quality all over the park, and this isn't, I don't think, going to be an easy game for Wigan on Friday. I certainly expect Wigan to win the game on Friday. We just simply have to. How it goes, I think it's all about the consistency of the team selection now for me, for Adrian Lam. We have to win, and we have to win by 2 or 3 clear tries, and then we have to build from there, moving on to the Warrington game the week after, because we've got tough fixtures coming up, and we can't afford to chop and change. I think the spine of the team, we have to get that consistency now. Interested to see Chris Hankinson in the squad, whether he gets a shot, and there might be a big decision to be made by Adrian Lam about Oliver Gildart perhaps, or Dan Sargison. I wouldn't be surprised to see Gildart perhaps move to the wing for a little bit, to give Hankinson a role. It's good to see him in there, because by all accounts he's been playing well for Swinton Lions on dual registration, so good to see that he's worked his way back into the squad, and certainly be interesting to see. I think it's a cover mainly for Dan Sargison, because he did pick up a knock, didn't he, at London, so I think it is a cover for that. But it's just good to have him in there, because I don't think Oliver Gildart is reaching the heights and the expectations that he would have set himself, really playing in the right centre role. Whereas if Sargison is out this week, he did go off injured, like I say, against London. That should give Gildart the opportunity to play on that left hand side, his favoured side, and he's got to put an absolute stormer in and reclaim that position, and then put pressure on Sargison and Hankinson to claim that right centre spot. So these are the score predictions and the thoughts of Mark and Matt. Matt's is more a memory of a song.
Simply the best.
The last thing Sean wanted from us, and I'm always the optimist. I'm always confident. So we're gonna beat Huddersfield by a few scores. But Huddersfield have got a lot to fix up after their game this week. If you watch the highlights of that, they really struggled with wet weather rugby, but they made a lot of mistakes, and there was no fight. They weren't winning collisions. They weren't the first person to the ball at any occasion. I think at least in the Broncos game we did show some of that in bursts. So I think we should beat them. I'm going to go Wigan by, I don't know, 10 to 12 points. Wigan by 2.
Thank you everybody for watching tonight. It's been a little bit different. I think it probably sums up the mood a little bit of Wigan fans, the fact that it's we've done this pre-recorded, we've done the questions first of all, but that's just basically because we were just busy tonight on Wednesday night. But I hope you enjoyed it all the more. Big game next week, big preview next Wednesday against Warrington. I'm off to do a Warrington podcast, as I mentioned before, so if I come out of that alive I should be alright. But join us next Wednesday. We'll hopefully have 4 points on the table, and we'll be slowly creeping up on Warrington with the opportunity to get even closer to them hopefully next week. So remember, do not suffer from the Wigan wobble. The symptoms and the cures and the way to deal with it is on your screen at this moment in time. Thanks.
Take it easy. Have a nice, long, relaxing soak. Everything's going to be all right.